afternoon, everyone. I hope you had a very fulfilling lunch. And I'll go through the POC for Bank of South Sudan. We'll use a roaming mic so that we can be more participative. And for this presentation, I will ask the Honorable First Deputy Governor to give us an overview of South Sudan and just speak about the opportunities that are there in South Sudan. It's not a surprise, we had planned it, so.
Thank you, colleagues representing the central banks and CEOs who may be around, the team of Mojaloop, and then the other actors. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you so much for inviting us to this. I would want to ask, still over 90% a cash-based, system. We carry cash in sacks, and unlike other colleagues or other sisterly countries who have already implemented national payment systems and now is more or less cashless. And South Sudan falls in the middle, in the East Africa region, and is part of East African community. We are quite large, as you can see. It's about over 600,000 kilometers, and the population is around 10 to 12, according to our last census that was taken 10 years ago. And I do believe that the population has grown. We are planning to take the second census, so we can be able to have good population numbers. We depend more on petroleum as of now, but we have a lot of reserves in natural resources. All those reserves have not been touched yet. So the country is still just depending on petroleum and some agricultural areas, few of agricultural areas. So we are having a lot of potentials. I'm not selling the country, but I know some of you who might have gone into the websites, they know the potentials we have. So you are welcome to South Sudan for investments. The country is, or rather the central bank is working on the national payment system. We are still building the national payment system, as I stated before. And so we are delighted when we see programs like the one of Mojaloop. Definitely that is our interest. We come to benefit from it and benefit from the colleagues' experiences. I thought we didn't need to reinvent the wheel. We just come to these forums and then learn and move forward with the support of all of you. And I thank you so much for this. At this stage, since we had actually started and we had been part of this process, we have already gone some distance. I will give Michael to take us through on where we have gone through and where we are as of now. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. Let's give the First Deputy Governor much more appreciation. He's the most senior most person in this delegation. So please, let's give it up for First Deputy Governor Samuel. Thank you very much. Let me use this now. Yeah. So anyway, we can go to the next slide. And as a first deputy governor has said, we started this journey a while back. And this is how it started. It started at Java Coffee House in a small meeting between 3 people. And that was the first time I was meeting the delegation from Bank of South Sudan. So I was called for a coffee meeting, and we started discussing about national payment systems and infrastructure. And it was a very fantastic meeting because it has led us where we are, having the very good representation of Bank of South Sudan here. And Director Kum is actually on the way. He's one of the directors who had been stuck in the air, but now he's arriving very shortly. We can go to the next slide. So I think the first deputy governor has given us a very good overview about the landscape in South Sudan. That picture is a picture of the River Nile passing through South Sudan. One of the things that you'll find in South Sudan, and I'm also not telling the country, you have to see it to believe it, it's a very fertile country. And one of the things is that as much as it's a new country, they're still developing payment systems. So you'll find that there are almost approximately 20-something commercial banks, with 6 of which are foreign banks. But also they have a very strong mobile network ecosystem with 2 mobile network operators running in South Sudan. And that is MTN Momo and Mgurush. Next slide, please. So what is the current status of national payments systems at Bank of South Sudan? They have developed a fantastic NPS vision and strategy framework, and they're also trying to revamp the regulational policy. But also one of the things that is highlighted is that, as mentioned by the first deputy governor, the bank is also trying to build additional payment infrastructure. And they've recently gotten funding from AFDB to build the RTGS system and the automated clearinghouse. Now, what they also don't have is a retail payment system. And what Mojaloop is positioning to do is now build on top of the infrastructure that is being built by the Bank of South Sudan and build a national retail payment system based off Mojaloop. And currently, they're also building a tier 3 data center that will host all this payment infrastructure. Next slide, please. So what is the POC objectives? I think fundamentally, if you look at the diagram, they have 2 objectives. Number 1 is to integrate banks and MNOs into a national payment ecosystem. Currently, there is no interoperability in the country, and this will be of phase 1 of the implementation, subject to how it goes, and we pray that it goes well. So phase 1 will be to integrate banks, mobile network operators, and we'll talk about it in a few slides to come. And then the third phase is to integrate into the region, because South Sudan is now part of the East African community. And the objective is to also integrate with its neighbors for business and cross-border payments. And then eventually, maybe also try to integrate into schemes. That is Visa and MasterCard. So what you're planning to do is set up a proof of concept, which is to build at least a payment infrastructure that connects 4 DFSPs at the proof of concept level. And then after the proof of concept, we'll scale up the number of participants participating in the POC. Next slide, please. I think the technical design is fairly straightforward for a Mojaloop deployment. As we speak, we already have a Mojaloop POC environment hosted on AWS, which the team in Bank of South Sudan has access to. And they're already integrating 1 DFSP, and that is one of the mobile network operators called Mgurush. And then the second iteration of integrations will be for 2 local banks, and then we will be able to send money across both from a mobile network operator to a bank and a bank to bank, and hopefully from a mobile network operator to another mobile network operator. So this is largely the technical design. We already have the core platform already installed, and it's working very well. And we'll also talk about the training that we've done with the team. Next slide, please. So one of the things that we've seen is fundamental in the success of POCs is to set up a governance structure that works. And for us at Bank of South Sudan, we've gotten the office, distinguished office of the first deputy governor being the executive sponsor of the project. They set the tone at the top, they drive the projects, and all of us support the ecosystem. And then we have executive co-chairs led by the Director National Payments, Director Bank Supervision, and the Director Human Resources because of resource allocation. 2 of the directors, Director Akum and Mr. Chan Andrea, will be here shortly with us. to participate in this convening as well. And then at the very bottom, we have a project steering committee where all the other participants now come in to support the implementation of the POC. And then we'll iterate this governance model into the actual build. Now, at the very bottom, you'll see African Lender, Mojaloop Foundation, and then the MNOs who are participating, banks, technical service providers, that's SisterWorks, and the hub operator who's Trinity Technologies. So this is largely the governance structure for the POC, but we'll change it a bit once we go into the actual build. But we'll retain the executive sponsorship, the Honorable First Governor's Office for executive support in the implementation of the project. You can go to the next slide. So where are we? I think it's fundamental to know that this POC started in September. And in September, we've managed to do a lot in a very few months. We've managed to contract Trinity Technologies and SisterWorks. We've set up the proof of concept environment. We've set up the governance structure. And we have, one of the things we've seen is that you need to build a series of cadence of meetings so that you can both update the central bank and also update the participants. So we have a governance structure that manages the project and also manages the technical teams, and the team from SisterWorks can confirm. We have, I think, two meetings in a week, both at a high level and also at a technical level. And then what we've also done is that we've done a Mojaloop technical training, and that has been done for both the hub operator, Bank of South Sudan, and surprisingly, we had almost close to 15 people attending this engagement. And we found that it was very fulfilling for us to see young technical people asking about Mojaloop and how they can use it. And then point number 5 is that we've shared API technical training, because at some point, the team who are running the hub will be able to actually integrate DFSPs. So what we've done is that we categorized it into four buckets, not 5. I think the first one is to set up, get the platform running. Number 2 is set up the governance. And then number 3 is apply training. And training is technical, operational, and then last but not least, ability to run a scheme, governance, operation model. And that part, we've managed to partner with Glenbrook, who are actually providing that training. So at the very tail end, when we get to number 7 on DFSP onboarding, they'll already have enough technical understanding to run Mojaloop, but also to operate the platform and also have scheme rules like what CC has presented to actually manage the scheme. And then eventually, number 8, we are planning to do it in the month of November, starting tomorrow. And happy to say that the team this week is already integrating one DFSP as we speak. And then last but not least, we'll document and validate the POC environment. So largely, we plan to close the POC by December and then document it for the next step. Next slide, please. So what we've said, don't take it literally. I think the opportunity for us is to show you beyond the slides what we've done, and we've partnered with Sumong from SisterWorks, who will now take us through the actual POC running on the cloud that the team from Bank of South Sudan are using. So please, Sumong.
Hello, everyone. This is Sumun from Peshawar, and I am head operation. In this session, I'm happy to assist Michael in demonstrating end-to-end transition flow in South Sudan project. So in order to save the time, we recorded the end-to-end transition making video, and I think it will be displayed shortly. So in this video, we divided into the 5 parts. So the first one is the transition making flow from one mobile operator to another by using South Sudanese Palm. So the second one is the log checking in Grafana software. And the third one is the transition checking in Payment Manager portal on both DFSP side. So for your information, Payment Manager portal is a web portal used by DFSP to monitor their own transition and check the transition is successful or failed to do some validation error. And also that fourth one is the settlement window closing and transition checking process in the finance portal. Again, for your information, finance portal is a web portal used by head operator to perform the settlement process. So lastly, the one is the settlement report generating process. In this session, in the last part, we generated the DFSP settlement report as DFSP settlement detail report for both DFSP. So please open the recording video. Yeah, we make the transition by using 3 API call, process many and percent many from the PR side. Yes, in the Grafana project, you can check the transition log on the relevant DFSP. The first one is we are checking the log on the mobile wallet provider, wallet one side. You can see there, the transaction is completed and the transaction ID. We highlighted that one. Yeah. With the second one is the checking the log on the pay side, mobile wallet provider on the pay side, the transaction completed. Yeah. So in the payment manager portal, we can search the transaction record by filtering the specific transaction ID when the FSP know the exact transaction ID number. So there you go. You can see the basic information of the payer and in the technical data, you can see the API call by using the tag on the right side. This is the payment manager portal on the pay side. Yeah, the transaction is completed on the pay side as well. Okay, in this session, we will show the settlement window close and capture the settlement ID to generate the settlement report. In the DFSP financial position, the transaction amount handle is displayed in the current position column. Yeah, we'll close the window. Yeah, the window stated change closed. We can see the settlement ID 3 and the window stated is PF result stated. So the health operation team can search the transaction information in the finance portal by filtering the specific transaction ID. Health operation team can check the transaction, visit information, and technical information as well, like the payment manager portal. Okay, in the list of it, we generated the DFSP settlement report and DFSP settlement detail report for both side, the DFSP side, by playing the report parameter. Okay, so let me start my presentation here. Thank you everyone for your attention.
Thank you. All right, so Sumong has been very integral in this implementation. And what you've seen is actually a real life proof of concept. It is available. I think the online participants could see clearly, but because of the projector, I think we had a challenge. But if you want to sit, we're here. Sumong, myself, and the team who are running the Bank of South Sudan POC can actually take you through the whole implementation. So we can go to the last slide and maybe we can say the success factors of a POC. Next slide, please. 2 slides back. So number one is to have a very strong regulatory support system. And we are honored that the Bank of South Sudan has embraced this particular proof of concept and has embraced the kind of work we are planning to do with the Bank of South Sudan, as evidenced by the delegation that is currently here. And then the other part is to also to have a strong technical partner, and that is ThistaWorks, who have actually really helped us build this proof of concept. And then the last part is to have a strong system hub operator. And our hub operator in this regard is a technology company, an SI in South Sudan called Trinity Technologies. And then in the middle part, you can have all this, but the icing on the cherry and the cherry on the cake is a strong DPG, and that is Mojaloop. And that's what you're using in the Bank of South Sudan. So we started by the cup of coffee. We can go to the last slide. And we can say this is how it's going. We managed, after the coffee, eventually it led to a meeting with the former governor. And suffice to say, I'm actually tiptoeing on that photo. I was trying to look tall. Even Robert, who's almost very tall, he was dwarfed by everyone. So one of the other things that you realize that the people from South Sudan are very tall. So thank you very much, and happy to take any questions. Thank you.